A relation between two quantities of same kind is called a ratio. P by Q is a ratio, then Q by P is called the inverse ratio. If the value of antecedent is lesser than the value of the consequent, then it is called as a ratio of lesser inequality. Just by taking the square terms, you are going to get a ratio. That ratio is called as the duplicate ratio. Hello dear students, welcome to this session of basic mathematics class. I am Mr. Niranjan, faculty department of mathematics, Vidhyaashram PU College, the Temple of Excellence. Today in this session, I am going to take very important new chapter, that is ratios and proportions. So unit 2. So in unit 2, the first chapter is ratios and proportions. Now before going to the exact chapter, let us know regarding the weightage for this chapter. So in this chapter, so you are going to expect 12 marks. So the weightage for this chapter is 12 marks. So you will get one MCQ plus one mark question, then 1 mark 1 question and one MCQ question. So remaining 1 2 marks question, 1 3 marks question, 1 5 marks question. So 1 2 marks question, 1 3 marks question, 1 5 marks, totally 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 mark. So 1 mark 1 question and one MCQ, one MCQ here, then 1 mark 1 question. This is 2 marker, this is 3 marker and 5 marks. So totally 12 marks from this chapter we are going to expect. So that means this is very important chapter for the point of examination. So now in this session I am going to discuss regarding what is a ratio and types of ratios. What are ratios and the types of ratio? What is a ratio, definition for a ratio, and types of ratios and the problems based on that we are going to discuss in this session. Now move on to the first one. What is the ratio? So ratio is nothing but a relation between the two quantities of same kind. So a relation between two quantities of same kind is called a ratio. So the relationship between the two quantities of same kind is called as a ratio. That is, if there are two quantities, say A and B, suppose if A and B are any two same quantities, then they can be expressed as A by B or A is to B. So we can express A is to B, or we can also write A by B. That is called the ratio, A is to B or A by B. Suppose in general, if P by Q is the ratio, then P is called an antecedent. The numerator P is called an antecedent. This is called an antecedent, and the denominator Q is called on the consequent. Q is called as the consequent. Very important. You may expect 1 more question from this. The numerator P is called as the antecedent and Q is called as the consequent. So here this is called an antecedent and Q is called an consequent. So consequent and antecedent. So if P by Q is a ratio, then P is called the antecedent and Q is called as the consequent. Now by knowing this, let us take an example. If 2 by 3 is the ratio, find the antecedent and consequent. So what is given here? Given that 2 by 3, this is nothing but P by Q. So P is equal to 2 is called this is called an antecedent, and Q, what is Q? Q is equal to 3, that is called as consequent. So antecedent is 2 and consequent is 3. That's all, right? Now let us know if 3 is to 5 is a ratio. Find the antecedent and consequent. So what is given? 3 is to 5. Let us call 3 is to 5 as P is to Q. That means 3 by 5 is equal to P by Q. So therefore here P is equal to 3 and Q is equal to 5. P is called an antecedent and Q is equal to 5 is called a consequent. So this is called an antecedent. That is 3 is an antecedent and Q is 5 is equal to consequent. So antecedent is equal to 3 and consequent is equal to 5. That's it. Okay. 1 mark easy question. Now move on to the next problem. Suppose X gets a salary of rupees 1500, Y gets a salary of rupees 5000. Find the ratio of their salaries. So X will get a salary of rupees how much? 15,000. Let X get the salary of rupees 15,000. And what is the salary of Y? Y gets the salary of rupees 5,000. Then find the ratios of their salaries, right? So here the salaries are nothing but X by Y. That's it. The ratio X by Y. What is X here? 15,000 divided by 5,000. So 3 zeros gets cancelled. 15 by 5 means 5 ones are 5 threes are. The ratio X by Y is equal to 3 by 1 means therefore X is to Y is equal to 3 is to 1. The ratio of the salary is 3 is to 1 is the ratio of the salary. That's it. Okay. Now, move on to the next problem. Rules related to the ratios. So, there are certain rules which are related to ratios. What are those rules? First one, inverse ratio. Inverse ratio. If P by Q is a ratio, then Q by P is called as the inverse ratio. Suppose if P by Q is a ratio, then Q by P is called the inverse ratio. For example, if P by Q is equal to 2 by 3, then Q by P is equal to 3 by 2 is called as the inverse ratio, right? So, if P is a ratio, then Q by P is called the inverse ratio. Now, find the inverse ratio of 4 is to 5. Let P is to Q is equal to 4 is to 5. That means P by Q is equal to 4 by 5. The inverse ratio is Q by P. That is nothing but 5 by 4. So that's equal to 5 is to 4. The reverse 5 is to 4 is the inverse ratio of 4 is to 5. That's it. So the inverse of P by Q is Q by P. Therefore, the inverse of 4 is to 5 is 5 is to 4. That's it. Hope you followed. Next, a house consumes 30 kgs of wheat and 4 kg of sugar. Compare the consumption of wheat and sugar in the form of ratio. So, a house consumes how many kgs? How much kg of wheat? 30 kgs of wheat. Right. And 4 kg of sugar. 4 kg. Compare the consumption of wheat and sugar in the form of a ratio. Okay. Now just divide it. That's it. Consumption of wheat divided by sugar. What is this equal to? Wheat 30 divided by 4. So divide it. So if we divide, so that's equal to 15 by 2. 15 by 2. So therefore the ratio is equal to P is to Q is equal to 15 is to 2. The ratio is 15 is to 2. That's it. Okay. That's simple. Just here, just divide it. Wheat divided by sugar. So wheat by sugar is 30 divided by 4 is 15 by 2. So therefore the consumption ratio is 15 is to 2. Now move on to the next problem. Mr. X completes a job in 3 hours and Mr. Y completes the same job in 45 minutes. Compare their performance. Suppose Mr. X will complete a job in 3 hours, and the same job Y will complete in 45 minutes, right? Then compare their performance. So here one is in hours, another one is in minutes. So we have to compare the performance of X and Y. Okay. Now just convert this X 3 hours into minutes. So 3 into 60. That's equal to 180 minutes. And the performance of Y is equal to 45 minutes. So therefore, X by Y, that's equal to 180 divided by 45. So 45 ones are, 45 fours are. So therefore, X is to Y is equal to 4 is to 1. That's it. So the performance ratio is 4 is to 1, right? Very simple here. Just so Mr. X completes a job in 3 hours means 3 into 60, that's equal to 180 minutes. Whereas the same job Y completes the same job in 45 minutes. So therefore, X by Y is equal to 180 by 45, that's equal to 45 ones are, 45 fours are, 4 is to 1. So the performance ratio is 4 is to 1. Now, move on to the next problem. Next method, second type, ratios of greater inequality. So, the second one is the ratio of greater inequality. So, a ratio of greater inequality is one in which the value of antecedent is greater than the value of the consequent. That means the value of numerator is greater than the denominator. So, a ratio of greater inequality is 1 in which the value of antecedent is greater than the consequent. That means the value of numerator is greater than the denominator. For example, 3:2. 3:2 is nothing but here 3:2 means P by Q is equal to 3 by 2. So, this is an antecedent and this is the consequent. Antecedent is greater than the consequent. So, therefore, this is an example for ratio of greater inequality. Another one, 5:4. 5:4 can be written as 5 by 4, that is nothing but P by Q. So, the antecedent is 5 and the consequent is 4. So, therefore, here 5 by 4, that is nothing but an example for a greater inequality. Now, let us move to the third type. Third one is ratio of lesser inequality. Ratio of lesser inequality means same, opposite to that of the previous statement. That is, the value of antecedent is less than the consequent. The numerator is less than the denominator. So, a ratio of lesser inequality is one in which the value of antecedent is lesser than the value of a consequent. So, if the value of antecedent is lesser than the value of the consequent, then it is called as a ratio of lesser inequality. That is, if numerator is less than the denominator. Let us take an example. For example, here 2:3. 2:3 means that is this is nothing but P:2Q. So, P by Q is equal to 2 by 3 means this is an antecedent and this is consequent. So, antecedent is less than the consequent. Therefore, this is an example for a ratio of lesser inequality. Similarly, 4:5. Similarly, if we consider 4:5, so this P by Q can be written as 4 by 5. So, antecedent is less than the consequent or is less than 5. Therefore, this is also an example for a lesser inequality. Now, move on to the next one, fourth, compound ratio. This is very important concept, compound ratio. A compound ratio is one which is obtained by multiplying the antecedent term with the antecedent term and the subsequent consequent term with the consequent terms in the given ratio. That means a compound ratio is one in which by multiplying, which is obtained by multiplying the antecedent term with antecedent term, multiplying the antecedent term with antecedent term and the subsequent consequent term with consequent terms, then the ratio we are going to get is called as a compound ratio. Let us move on to the example number 1. So, find the compound ratio. Find the compound ratio of 3:5 and 4:7. What is given? Given P:2Q is equal to 3:5. Therefore, P by Q is equal to 3 by 5. Now, let us take one more. This forest M:n. This is equal to 4:7. M by n is equal to 4 by 7. Now, the compound ratio for this is the compound. Just multiply, that's it. P into M divided by Q into N. So, if you multiply P into M divided by Q into N, what is this equal to? So, that is 3 into 4 divided by 5 into 7. That's it. 3 4s are 12 divided by 7 5s are 35. So, the compound ratio is 12:35. That's it. Just multiplying the numerator and denominator separately. That's it. So, 3 into 4 divided by 5 into 7 will give the compound ratio. Okay. 12:35. Just multiply. Simple. 3 4s are 12, 5 3s are 15. So, 3 4s are 12, 5 7s are 35. 12 by 35 is a compound ratio. Now, take one more example. Find the compound ratio of 1:2, 2:3 and 3:5. So here what is given? 1:2 means 1 by 2, 2:3 that is equal to 2 by 3 and 3:5 that is nothing but 3 by 5. So we have to find the compound ratio for this 1 by 2, 2 by 3 and 3 by 5. So just multiply it. So therefore the compound ratio is equal to 1 by 2 into 2 by 3 into 3 by 5. 3 gets cancelled, 2 gets cancelled, 1 by 5 that's equal to 1:5. 1:5 is the compound ratio. Just 1 by 2 into 2 by 3 into 3 by 5, cancel the terms which gets cancelled, that's equal to 1 by 5. Okay, hope you followed. Now move on to the next problem. Determine the compound ratio of 6:1 by 3, 1 by 3:3 and 5:3 and 7:8. So what is given here? 6:1 by 3, 1 by 3:3, 5:3 and 7:8. This can be written as 6 divided by 1 by 3 into 1 by 3 divided by 3 into 5 by 3 into 7 by 8. Just multiply this. So this goes to the numerator, 6 3s are 18 by 1 and again this goes to the numerator, that is 1 by 3 divided by 3, that is nothing but 3 3s are 9, 1 by 9 into 5 by 3 into 7 by 8. That's it. So simplify. What is this equal to? 3 6 are 18. Again anything gets cancelled. So we can divide from 2. 2 4s are, 2 3s are. Again nothing. So 3 3s are, 9 gets cancelled. So what is left in the numerator is 1 by 1 into 1 by 3 into 5 by 1 into 7 by 4. So that's equal to 7 5s are 35 divided by 4 3s are 12. So the ratio will be 35:12. That's it. Okay. So this is the compound ratio for the given ratios. That is 6:1. 6:1 by 3 is nothing but 6 divided by 1 by 3 into 1 by 3 by 3, 5 by 3 into 7 by 3 as it is. Just take this to the numerator. 6 3 is 18 by 1. So this can be written as 1 by 3 into 1 by 3 is 1 by 9, 5 by 3 into 7 by 8. Cancel the terms which gets cancelled. So that's equal to 35 divided by 12 is the required answer. So the compound ratio for this is 35:12. That's it. Now next type is duplicate ratio. Duplicate ratio means what? A duplicate ratio is one which is obtained by taking square terms of the given ratio. Just by taking the square terms, you are going to get a ratio. That ratio is called as the duplicate ratio. So a duplicate ratio is one which is obtained by taking the square of the terms of the given ratio. Now let us consider, for example, the duplicate ratio of 3:4 is 3 square is to 4 square. What is 3 square? 9. 4 square 16. 9 is to 16. So similarly, so 3:4, the duplicate ratio is 3 square is to 4 square. That is nothing but 9 is to 16. Similarly, let us take one more example, 2:3. So the duplicate ratio for this is 2 square is to 3 square. So what is this equal to? 2 square is 4 is to 9. So the duplicate ratio of A is to B is A square is to B square. Now subduplicate ratio. What is subduplicate ratio? A subduplicate ratio is one which is obtained by taking the square root of the terms of the given ratio. Duplicate means squaring. Subduplicate means taking the square root. So the subduplicate of 4:9 is square root of 4 is to square root of 9 is, so root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3. 2:3 is the subduplicate. If you take the square root, then it is called subduplicate. Let us take, for example, 16:25. For 16:25, what is the subduplicate? So square root of 16 into square root of 25, that is nothing but square root of 16 is 4 and square root of 25 is 5. 4:5 is the subduplicate of 16:15. Right. Now, next, triplicate ratio. What is triplicate ratio means? A triplicate ratio is one which is obtained by taking the cubes of the terms of the given ratio. If you cube, then the ratio you are going to get is called as the triplicate. So, triplicate ratio of 1:3 is 1 cube is to 3 cube, that is 1:27. Similarly, the triplicate ratio of 1:2. 1:2 is 1 cube is to 2 cube. What is this equal to? 1:2 cube, 2 to the 4 to the 8. This is the triplicate ratio. Just a triplicate ratio is one which is obtained by taking the cubic terms. So, by cubing, by taking the cubes of the terms of the given ratio. A is to B triplicate is A cube is to B cube. So, for 1:2 it is 1:8. For 1:3 it is 1:27. Right. Now, sub-triplicate ratio. A sub-triplicate ratio is one which is obtained by taking the cube roots of the terms of the given ratio. So, by taking the cube roots of the terms of the given ratio, we are going to get the sub-triplicate ratio. For example, the sub-triplicate of 8:27. Just take the cube root of 8 and 27. What is the cube root of 8? 2. What is the cube root of 27? 3. So, therefore, cube root of 8 and cube root of 27 is 2:3. So, 2:3 is the sub-triplicate. For example, let us take one more example. 27 into 125. What is the sub-triplicate? Cube root of 27 is to cube root of 125. Cube root of 27 is 3. 3 3s are 9. 9 3s are 27. Cube root of 125 is 5. 5 5s are 25. 25 into 5 is 125. So, this is called the sub-triplicate. So, you got an idea regarding what is meant by duplicate. Duplicate means by taking the square. Sub-duplicate means by taking the square root. Triplicate means by cubing the terms. So, sub-triplicate means by taking the cube root. So first squaring, then taking the square roots, duplicate, sub-duplicate. Triplicate means cubing and taking the cube root, that is called a sub-triplicate. Now, move on to the next one, next problems. Let us take an example. Find the duplicate ratio of 5:4. So, the duplicate ratio of 5:4 is 5 square is to 4 square. That is nothing but 5 square is 25:16. Just square it. So, 5 square is to 4 square. 25:16 is the duplicate ratio of 5:4. Okay. Next. Find the triplicate. Triplicate of 3:5 is nothing but cubing on both sides. So, 3 cube is to 5 cube is the triplicate ratio. So, that is 3 cube. 3 3s are 9, 9 3s are 27, 5 cube, 5 5s are 25 into 5 is 125. So, 27 is to 125 is the triplicate ratio of 3:5. Right. If you square, you will get duplicate. If you cube, you will get triplicate. Find the sub-duplicate. Sub-duplicate is nothing but sub-duplicate ratio of 9:49 is nothing but square root of 9 into is to square root of 49. What is square root of 9? 3. What is square root of 49? 7. So, sub-duplicate is square root of 9 and square root of 49, 3:7. Sub-triplicate. So, the sub-triplicate of 125:64 is nothing but cube root of 125 is to cube root of 64. Cube root of 125 is 5. 5 into 5 into 5. 5 5s are 25 into 5 is 125. This is 5 is 2. For this 4. 64s. Cube root of 64 is 4. 4 4s are 16. 16 4s are 64. This is equal to 5:4. So, cube root of 125 is 5 and cube root of 64 is 4. So, therefore, the sub-duplicate ratio of 125:64 is 5:4. That's it. If you cube, you will get the same value. So, 5 cube is 125, 4 cube is 64, 5:4 is the required answer. Okay. Now, move on to the next problem. Yes, find the value of x if 2:20 is equal to 3:x. What is given? Given 5:20 is equal to 3:x. That is P by Q is equal to, call it as R by S, that is 5 by 20 is equal to 3 by X. Cross multiply, that's it. 5 into X is equal to 20 into 3. X is equal to 20 into 3 divided by 5. 5 fours are, so X is equal to 4 into 3, that's equal to 12. So therefore X is equal to 12. That's it. So 5 is to 20 is also equal to 3 is to 12. Very simple, right? Very simple. See, 5x is equal to 6, 20 into 3, 60. X is equal to 60 by 5 is nothing but 12. So the value of X is equal to 12 is the required answer. So these are very simple problems. You may expect 1 or 2 questions for 1 mark MCQ as well as 1 mark essay type short answer questions and 2 marks question from this. So hope you followed. That's all regarding today's session. Let us meet with the different types of problems in the next session. Thank you. Thank you very much.